Well, Anonymous declaring war on Russia and Vladimir Putin, the international hacking group known for targeting everyone from ISIS to Elon Musk, now setting its sights on the Kremlin. And shortly after the group announced its intentions on Twitter last night, several Russian government websites went down. And that cyber campaign comes after U.S. officials warned of potential attacks on U.S. targets. NewsNation's Leland Vittert, host of On Balance, joins me live now from the studio. So, Leland, this wouldn't be the first time Russia targeted the U.S., obviously, but what would a Russian cyber attack on the U.S. look like in this context? Who or what would be prime targets?
Dealer's choice for Vladimir Putin, right, Nichole, in terms it could be just about anything. The most damaging and significant cyber attack by the Russians in recent memory on the United States is when the Colonial Pipeline was shut down by ransomware attackers. These were Russian criminals acting sort of with tacit permission from the Russians, not necessarily directed by Vladimir Putin's intelligence agencies. That shut off gas supplies to the east coast of the United States. It created lines at gas stations, threatened to really shut down commerce on the entire eastern seaboard. So that's the type of thing you're talking about. And there's obviously a scale, just like in warfare. You can go from an invasion to, you can start with airstrikes, then you go to an invasion, then you go to tanks rolling through cities, then you go to leveling cities with nuclear weapons. So there is that same continuum in cyber warfare. Where the Russians choose to do that is up to them, whether it would be directed by the Russians and by their actual security services and their military intelligence, or they'd outsource it to hackers. That would depend. The hackers want to make money. The government, the Russian government, would want to somehow cripple the United States. The general consensus is that that would only be in retaliation to something the United States did. Russia right now obviously is pretty much on their own here. The idea of picking a fight with the United States for just sort of out of choice is probably not something that's on their radar right now.
All right. Well, Leland, you started this by saying dealer's choice, but we know that, policing cyberspace internationally, specifically, extremely difficult. There's really no laws on the books for that. So could a Russian cyber attack on, let's say, a NATO member during a time of war trigger an Article 5 response? So in other words, let's say Poland or the UK, they're hit by a Russian cyber attack. Is there a scenario where U.S. troops would have to get involved?
Well, there's always a scenario. NATO Article 5 says an attack on one is an attack on all. That could, in the words of the NATO Deputy Secretary General, extend to cyberspace. But the question is, when do you go from a cyber war to a shooting war? Is there a scenario where the UK and Poland are attacked with cyber weapons, therefore they or the United States respond with cyber weapons, then the Russians respond with real weapons? And that's what's called in the national security world the reciprocity multiplier, right? You shove me, I hit you, you bring out a knife, then I bring out a gun. That's how this works, and that's how things get out of hand. So yes, it could, and obviously the president, if there's anything that Joe Biden has been clear about throughout this whole time, is this concept that an attack on NATO would be his line in the sand. That said, he said, we will defend every inch of NATO's land. He never said anything about every inch of NATO's cyberspace.
All right. Very good point, Leland Vittert. We will check back in with you for On Balance at 6, 7 Central. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.